Steve Coogan, why Tristram Shandy? This is a book they say is unfilmable.
Well, that's like a red rag to a bull for me, to say the book's unfilmable. And I think it's the same for the director.
2005's A Cock and Bull Story was based on the Lives and Opinions of Tristram Shandy Gentleman by Laurence Sterne, the first ever postmodern novel.
I mean, that is the thing about Tristram Shandy, which any adaptation into film is going to find very difficult, because it's a book as much about a book as a physical object as it is not just about writing. I mean, we're all used to modern writers who are self-reflective and up their own jackses as far as their art is concerned. Oh, this book is about the writing of a book, and you could say that's very much the nature of romantic poets who came later. Keats' odes are about writing odes, as it were. And, all art is about itself. Past the classical age. But this is in the classical age. He writes a book which is about, not just about, it's about the shape of a book, the heft of a book in your hand, about printing, jokes about typography, about footnotes, about things that can and can't be written. So like when what's his name crosses himself, you get a cross in the book, just written, just printed as a crucifix.
He's examining narrative. He's examining what constitutes a story.
At one point, two characters go down a flight of stairs, and that takes 2 chapters, because the ethereal voice keeps getting distracted and time gets the better of him. Because this book is not about the story, it is about writing a book.
Groucho Marx once said that the trouble with writing a book about yourself is you can't fool around. Why not? People fool around with themselves all the time. I'm Tristram Shandy, the main character in this story.
So when they made a movie adaptation, it became a movie about making a movie.
Steve is playing 3 parts. He's playing Walter, Tristram and Steve Coogan. They're all basically the same or quite similar. It's all this. Oh, I'm Tristram Shandy. I'm Steve Coogan. I'm Walter. Oh. So I had to find something around that, so took that sort of thing and took the richness out of it and made it a bit sort of thinner, like the characters he did on Coogan's Ran, which one of his less successful shows, and those sort of characters, it made him a bit like that.
The lead characters were played by Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan, who would improvise a lot of their dialogue. So much so that the screenwriter Frank Cottrell Boyce would take his name off the finished film, choosing to use the pseudonym Martin Hardy, apparently because the finished movie bore little resemblance to the screenplay he wrote, not because he didn't like it.
I don't think this is a good thing, but I've never done any of those courses or followed those books or the guides or anything. So I kind of looked at them for this talk in case I was missing out on something, because I've never written a hit movie, I've never done those things. And when I look at those screenwriting books, they're very focused on, a particular object, making your film, getting your film made, making your film made to do the best at the box office. And those things are very, very important. But there's something very dry and very architectural and very self-helpy. They read like diet books to me.
I am a writer and filmmaker. I think a lot of people who do movie talk on YouTube fancy themselves as filmmakers, but I'm a writer first. I've written plays and BBC radio shows, but movies are my thing. I want to get a movie made. In fact, that's some of the scripts to hand. I mean, that's just the ones I can pick up. There's probably 3 times the amount of that in the drawer. But I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to document making a movie. I didn't realise how hard they are to get off the ground. I mean, it's always funding that I have a problem with. I had an interview with a guy, an Australian man, and I don't want to badmouth him because he was very, very nice to me. And I mean, really, he shouldn't have even given me the time of day, but he was a producer in Australia, and he said, look, mate, no one wants to fund your movie because, there's no track record that I can even make a movie. It's this endless catch-22 that you can't make a film until you've made a film.
There have been films that I've desperately wanted to make all my life and never got made. It's so unpredictable, isn't it? Because there are films that I've made before I finished typing, we were in shoot. The real pain is not, it's only 1 in 3, but it's the wrong one of the 3. That's really hard to deal with.
Yeah, I love movies. You don't have a collection like this unless you do. I mean, I do still buy DVDs and Blu-rays. I mean, imagine if, for example, your favourite film starred Kevin Spacey. Maybe there's another trial, and this time he's found guilty. We've seen it before, that they're stripped from streaming platforms, and that's what I don't want. I don't want these things to be taken away from me or re-edited. I mean, if you don't think that that's going to happen, you didn't have a Flickster account.
In the film, they say this is only probably going to get a 2-star review. Well, not from me. I'm going to probably go for 4 stars out of 10. I work for Heat Magazine, which is obviously a very mainstream publication. And we saw the movie back, I think, in October. And we were very clear from the beginning that this wasn't an obscure art house movie that would appeal only to a niche audience. And we were, emailing the next day saying, we really want to get behind this movie because we see it as being a very mainstream movie.
I saw a film recently. I didn't pay for this, it was just on YouTube. It was called The Encounter. I only watched it because WCW wrestler Sting was in the lead role. It was like a Christian Twilight Zone, where a merry band of misfits all experiencing emotional hardship run into Jesus, who's running a diner in the middle of nowhere, and he promises to improve their lives if they just believe in him. It's as heavy-handed as it sounds, and I'm damn sure that I could make a better movie than that. I'm sorry, I seem to have got distracted.
I am getting ahead of myself. I am not yet born.
In the novel, the timeline jumps back and forth, always promising to tell the story of Tristram Shandy, but never quite getting to his birth. The film mirrors the authorial voice of the book, with voiceover and talking directly to the camera.
I know. How did I come to be named Tristram, given my father's views? You can read the Bible. Well, even though my birth is fast approaching, there's still time to catch the tragedy of my naming.
The film is both story and commentary on that story. It's like its own YouTube video, but with more views.
This is every subscriber's least favorite video, which is YouTubers complain about YouTube.
Something has happened to YouTube recently. I've seen many channels that I consider to be big complaining about a sudden loss in viewing figures. This has coincided with YouTube automating a lot of their content flagging. So a bot trawls through the site and demonetizes content that it deems unsuitable. I remember when Tumblr did this. It was just after they got bought out by Yahoo. They were trying to strip the site of adult content. I used to post art and film reviews on the site. This is long before my YouTube days. And they flagged this image as being unsuitable for their pages. I appealed and they upheld the ban. This image was the poster for the movie Room in Rome. This image was on billboards and bus stops in the UK, but it was too much for Tumblr. We're not having this filth in our site because we're bigger prudes than the Victorians.
UK has gone into absolute dismal train wreck. They're talking about more censorship laws, saying that they should censor even more stuff now than ever before. Basically saying that, oh no, it's not just about kids anymore. We just want to censor everything on the internet and stop you from even being able to see anything under the guise of safety. And this is exactly what I mean, is that it starts off as, oh, we're just protecting the kids, and then it's, oh no, we just want to protect everyone else and choose what you can and can't see, and then it's just mask off, let's just censor everything.
I find that most censorship is imposed purely to appease people who are not in the artwork's demographic in the first place. As though removing transphobic jokes from Dave Chappelle's Netflix show would suddenly make his humour appealing to middle-class white women who have probably never seen him before. None of those protesters were saying, oh, I used to like him, but not anymore. No, it's all, I wouldn't watch this brand of hate. Which is fine. I don't watch anything on Netflix. I don't have an account. Problem solved. Cock and bull story.
What is so original and exciting about the novel is the Tristopedia.
Where Tristram...
No.
Right, what?
No, it's where Walter spends the entire pregnancy, compiling this book of knowledge, like an encyclopedia, yeah, just for his son.
The book has no structural form to it. Some interactions are deliberately tediously slow, like that between Uncle Toby and Tristram's father, Walter. Then it would skip over important events as the authorial voice complains that it doesn't have the language to describe them properly. This is unstageable in a literal sense, unless you had a man sitting at his writing desk talking to himself as he scribbles. And how boring would that be? So what Michael Winterbottom has done is make something in the spirit of the book. There's a lot of talk, particularly in screenwriting circles, about structure. The best book on screenwriting, and the only one I would recommend, Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, is all about the 3-act structure and setting up B-story and making sure story beats land on certain pages. And it is all great advice if you are planning to sell your script, because you will have 1,000,001 meetings where you have to explain your motivations and why the character did something at whatever point. So it's good to have something of a handbook to refer to, but it isn't everything. Most of the movies I love don't actually follow this form. I read this book about one of my favourite writers, Nora Ephron, and the author complains that some of her post-Sleepless in Seattle films felt more like sketches than stories. And I thought, those are the ones I really like. I interviewed a filmmaker called Ray Mahoney. He directed a film I watched over and over in my 20s called Baconhead. I doubt you've heard of it unless you're a Troma fan, but it's a sketch movie, artistically shot in black and white, much higher quality than your average Troma fare. I made a whole video about it if you're interested. But most sketch movies run out of steam about an hour in because there are too many new things to get invested in. But Baconhead doesn't, because it has the clever idea of all the characters meeting. These random sketches suddenly take form, but it's not to make a profound point, it just adds a bit of structure, and then breaks apart. It's really quite inspired, but that's not something you could explain to a Hollywood executive as working. But it is my belief that people connect much less to plot than screenwriting books would have you believe. It's characters, and particularly character change, which people connect to.
But I don't agree with a lot of Blake Snyder's categorizations. I think that his method, the original Blake Snyder beat sheet, was designed for his genre, which is family comedy, commercial family comedies, or high concept comedies. Like he used Miss Congeniality as one of his pure examples in the book. And it was a great example, and it's good screenwriting, it's a high concept, fun movie, but I don't think his method applies to every genre.
In the script, the one that I've written, the one that I'm going to shoot next year, I use a structure which... I'm sorry, I've made this all about me, haven't I? Forgive me. I'm not thinking right. You see, this video was recorded some weeks ago because at the time, now, as this is being released, I am recovering from surgery. You see, I have got a deviated septum, which means in this nostril is fine, but I can't get any oxygen through that one. So I'm having my nose broken and realigned, which means one can't breathe through my nose and probably I've got 2 black eyes.
Deviated septum surgery has been around for decades, but new improvements have made it a lot less painful and more effective.
I think it's come the furthest of any surgery that I do in 10 years.
Dr. Linda Lee is a facial plastic surgeon at Mass Eye and Ear. She says the key is selecting the right candidates.
We understand who to operate on and who not to. We can't cure snoring, we can't cure allergies, so it's got to be a very distinct deviation in order to improve.
Nothing has happened to me, there was no trauma. I was probably born like this, but it's been a problem since my early 30s. This is a CT scan of my head. Those swirly bits are normal. That's my nasal cavities. But that line down the middle, that should be straight. The NHS in the UK is great but painfully slow, so I've been waiting for this correction for a long time. But I have committed to releasing a video a week in hope of building a following before starting my movie. But that algorithm change hasn't... Oh God. I've done it again. Anyway, a cock and bull story.
I've got a little kind of crevice. Can you see that there? See?
Yes.
That's fizzy drinks.
Yeah.
And I don't think the colour is great. What do you think? Have a look at the colour.
I saw the colour the last time I looked. It registered.
It's what I call not white.
Well,
what colour would you call it?
I'd concur with not white. I'd go further.
I mean, it's not yellow.
I mean, it's a sliding scale, isn't it? You know, I think you're
hint of yellow.
I think you're closer to
barley meadow.
If you want to give it a Dulux,
Tuscan sunset.
If you want you're getting laughs, but it's not making your teeth look any better.
The book is excellent and still feels ahead of its time, even though it was first published in the 18th century.
When you're reading Tristram Shandy, you suddenly have the amazing, strange understanding of natural science, humour, theology, wit, judgment, insults of somebody from the mid-18th century. And it's that sense of recognition that I don't know anything quite like a book for giving dead people a voice.
This is a lot like movies. The Chinese word for cinema literally translates to electric shadow. When motion pictures were first invented, it was seen as a way for people to stay alive after death. For the first time, not only were people's faces recorded, but how they move. Narrative didn't come until quite a lot later. The whole art form is less than 150 years old, and people are writing books on how to master it seems somewhat arrogant. It's a constantly evolving medium just because it's so new. I'm sorry,
Is Bill Murray in it?
No.
That's a shame.
Is it?
What he's great.
It's great in Lost in Translation, but the point is this is a different subject matter.
I love Bill Murray's movies. He's actually done a lot of great dramatic work. I particularly like the film Mad Dog and Glory because Bill Murray and Robert De Niro are playing what is normally seen as each other's roles, with De Niro as the cop and Bill Murray as a gangster.
And so it goes. The best moments in Mad Dog and Glory are the most unexpected ones, when a line of dialogue will flash out of nowhere or a character will act in a completely unexpected but insanely logical way. Some of the scenes between Murray and De Niro are priceless. The way they try to build a friendship, for example, on fear and complete incompatibility.
All right, I've completely lost track. Let me just go back over everything, see what I've already said. Okay. Right, okay. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy is a book written by Michael Winterbottom, Laurence Sterne, and they made it into a movie directed by Laurence They made it into a movie. It's called A Cock and Bull Story, unless you're in America, where it's called Tristram Shandy, A Cock and Bull Story. It's really good. I'm Scott Kingsnorth. I'm making a movie.